Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. I am your host Saeed. I do want to thank you for joining us tonight, Thursday, the 5th of May, 2022. So viewers, remember, we are live on Facebook, Real Talk with Saieed Ali, on YouTube, TT Real Talk. Subscribe, hit the bell, and you will know when we go live. Call your friends, call your family, let them know the #1 current affairs program is going live on Synergy Network. You know, I always say we have our office in Caroni Savannah Road in Shogunas. We are just sending a link to Synergy Television on Arbuta Avenue to go public. That is what we are doing. So viewers, it's a blessing to be here, live on television, in your living room, on your computer, on your phone, on your tablet, whatever device you are viewing us from. I do want to say thank you and a special good night to you. Remember, share our live stream. Share our live stream, viewers. It is important to us, and it is important to you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And those of you who live in abroad, if you're not getting Synergy, Facebook, social media platform, it is a must. Remember that. It is a must. There's also a rerun of this program tomorrow from 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. You know, every day there is a rerun, but sometimes I need to remind you all because you tend to forget sometimes. So as we start off our program tonight, remember viewers, I am a licensed money lender. You're looking for cash borrow, you have your security, you have collateral, is not a problem. Not a problem. Contact me at 238-6716 or 339-1670. You can also WhatsApp me at 267-7325. From Monday coming next week, our South sub-office will be open to the public as before. So if you're in the South area, whatever information, you could go down to the South office, get whatever information you need. So as we start off our program tonight, Prime Minister and Members of Parliament for the Diego Martin West, the Honorable Dr. Keith Brown, has donated computers to 7 primary schools in his constituency. So viewers, it's an update. We want to thank the Prime Minister for donating that. But remember, a couple of months ago, he said computers were for Duncy Head. Just imagine that. Our Prime Minister was saying that computers were for Duncy Head. I have the video. I have the video. It just goes to show how on one side you will be bad talking individuals, and on the other side you're willing to help. Do so and like so. But nevertheless, I had the video, but we didn't prepare it for tonight. It's Fire Friday tomorrow, you know. It's Fire Friday, so keep that in mind. As we move along tonight, the cabinet appointed to deal with the cabinet appointed a child abuse interagency task force has met for the first time to develop a work plan. This aim is to implement the recommendations for an investigative report on the abuse of children at institutions throughout Trinidad, which provides residential care for children. Now, Task Force Chairman Daily Sobers outlined the task force work and then led members in a discussion on the approach they will take to accomplish their goal of completing the plan within 6 weeks. So we're going to keep you up to date with that, viewers, and we're going to see how it goes, because I will tell you something. With reports being published in social media, on news platforms, that there were abuse of children in the children home. In children home. And some of these homes were kicked off the registry. Some are not registered. But yet there are children staying in these homes. And you know what? The sad part about this is that some of these homes that are not registered to be children home are getting subventions from the government. Imagine that, eh? Imagine that they're getting a subvention from the government for a child home or children home that is not registered. You see, I could tell you something. This is where the child authority comes in. Children home throughout Trinidad and Tobago should be monitored under the children authority. But how often does the officers of children authority visits children home throughout Trinidad to make sure that proper guidelines are followed, to make sure that they are up to standard with registration, to make sure that they sit with children or a child one-on-one to find out if everything is okay at the home? How often do they do that? You see, we have organizations in Trinidad and Tobago. I ask myself, do they care, or are they just existing to collect a subvention or to collect cash or something? You would tell me for years, we have had abuse taking place in children homes throughout Trinidad and Tobago. And where is the children authority? Where are they? They're supposed to be the one, they're supposed to be the officer going to these homes to make sure that the children are comfortable, they are not being abused, they are registered, the home is in proper working conditions, the bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, the toilet, the caretakers, the owners of the children home. That is what the children authority is there for. Only to hear now that, according to reports, that gang rape have been taking place. Only to realize that children spending weekend by homes. Only to realize that children going on the beach with people. Where is the children authority? And you see, if I go to light them up on TV now, they were like, Saeed, you know you're not supposed to do that. But where the hell were you? Every month you're supposed to be visiting the homes. Every month get your tail up and go and check the home, check the children. It's not adults you're dealing with, it's children. They have to humble to get piece of roti. They have to humble themselves to get a proper night's sleep. They have to humble themselves if they get abused. And just imagine abuse taking place in a home that's supposed to be with no abuse. The home that's supposed to look after you, they got an abuse. So where do we go from there now? I ask myself, when that report surfaced up, I asked myself, I said, but where the hell is children authority? What role does they play in these homes? What role? I ask myself that. But nevertheless, let's see what this new task force will accomplish. Let's hear what the Children Authority have to say about it. Even TTPS have to say about it. Maybe even the gender-based violence unit could probably get involved and bring that to some closure or some resolution or something. But it's total craziness. So moving along from that now, the Supermarket Association of Trinidad and Tobago, SAT, has met with the cyber unit or the cyber security incident. Now, they are reporting to the team of Trinidad and Tobago. The cyber unit incident reporting team of Trinidad and Tobago to discuss the recent incident of cyber attack within the industry and to discuss the ramifications for the future. Now, discussions were based on several strategies in dealing with the matrix of threat from cyber attacks in both traditional and novel means. The panel noted that the evolving sphere of cybersecurity poses difficult challenges which needed to be addressed in the wake of the increasing attack that now place the supermarket sector in a position where it must evolve to meet a baseline level of defense security measures. The presentation detailed an overview of how these attacks originate, what measures of security are critical, as well as their own response machinery to these cyber attacks. Both parties have agreed to meet soon as the sector works towards improving its cyber security posture. So we took the opportunity to contact the supermarket of the president of the Supermarket Association, Mr. Rajiv Dipti. So we have him there live. Mr. Rajiv, good night, sir.
Good night, sir. Good night, Trinidad and Tobago.
Now, Mr. Rajiv, I have two questions for you, and it may lead to a third, right? So I want to ask, what threat can cyber attack pose on the Supermarket Association?
So cyber attacks are something that have been occurring since the lockdowns of 2020. It's something that we have been aware of because they've happened in 2021. What's been going on is unreported, and that's for a number of reasons, including the security of the affected company, individual traders, and so forth. However, as we saw last week with Massey Stores being the largest supermarket chain in the nation, and their operations being crippled as a result of the cyber attack that took place, it was extremely noticeable to customers who saw that stores had closed operations, and that as of right now, the certain aspects of the operation remain affected. This has forced a read at the association in terms of how affected, because now we see with the war in Ukraine that there's been a rise, a spike in these kind of cyber attacks. We saw recently the US-based logistical group, Aeropost, they suffered a cyber attack. Even our nation's citizens whose data was in that database were affected, and they were affected as a result of the leak. So it's really a question about management, infrastructure, and architecture, and how that would protect the customer's data. It's really about them. It's really about trying to ensure that there is no data, so that the detection, prevention, and management of the responses can be robust going forward. We understand, cyber, is that these attacks will continue throughout 2022 as long as there's a war going on in Europe.
Now, what should the public expect after this discussion between the Supermarket Association and the Cyber Security Incident Reporting Team of Trinidad and Tobago? What are some of the measures that you all have discussed thus far?
I think the public could have a level of confidence on where the incident took place, that there was no breach, and as I said, customer data really is the most important aspect of this discussion, where we ensure now with the cybersecurity team, which in itself is a unit of the Ministry of National Security, that we have the best experts who are advising us on how to ensure a more robust integrity when it comes to the systems that we have in place. And it's really something that we're going to be keeping on the ball moving forward. Yesterday was the first in a series of workshops for the groups, and now we're talking about opening it up to the wider retail and distribution sectors. So it's something that has been a lot of interest, and people are too familiar with this kind of terrain, more conditioned to deal with the physical threats, the violence, the armed robberies, the shoplifting. So this is another layer that now needs to be explored, and it's a more technical arena. So we ensure to have the experts from the state as well as the private sector advising us accordingly.
Now, Rajiv, based on the attack, now, this is a question from me to you. Based on the attack that we received recently in Trinidad and Tobago, do you think we have the, how to say, the proper specialists in Trinidad and Tobago to deal with cyber attacks? Do you think we have the equipment?
So what I can tell you is that based on the meeting that we had with the cybersecurity incident reporting team, I was very impressed with how prepared they were. A good analogy for them to be described as they are almost like the anti-quad except the cybercrime division. So what they would do is that when there are various forms of cyber attacks, and they were able to take a look at the different areas. Do we have the equipment? Some of the protocols and the stringencies are very doable. However, I would say to you on this call that I do believe there's a lack of specialization in the fields. I think that where we're dealing with it at a very high level of expertise. Is each person able to get that level of expertise? I think it will take, I certainly think that water massive stores is causing a lot of reactions in the industry. I think it's now a niche market that needs to be filled for that kind of level of expertise. So I think that when you consider, and we've already seen some chains close their stores in order to address it past weekend gone. So it's something that people are actively listening, are red flagging. This is a threat. This is something we need to be taking into consideration. And I think that the market will provide for level of specialization. That is something we talk about on the call, that we're looking for the best people for the job. And so far, we have confidence in the TPC team.
So the Supermarket Association have decided to go forward now in putting preventative measures in place if something like this should ever happen.
Let me put it to you this way, Saeed. You can be very well prepared, but something can happen. There's always an element of risk when you consider that the human resource aspect can make mistakes, because people are themselves are the vectors for the attacks. And in some cases, these attacks meditated. They target certain institutions. In some cases, it's very random. But either which way, you can do all you can. So what we're working on is parallel strategies, so that perhaps we might have backup systems in play. Perhaps we might have alternative strategies. But there's so many ways in cyberspace to find yourself vulnerable to these attacks.
Now, while we are talking, Rajiv, concerning the supermarket and their way forward, I believe is either today or tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, you all are having a seminar to deal with, I believe it's counter illicit trafficking or something like that.
Yes, the parallel illicit trade is something that has always been an issue for a number of years, not just today. And that parallel trade deals a lot in the counterfeit aspects of, we can look at cigarettes, we can look at alcohol, we can look at, brand counterfeiting. Obviously, the items I listed just now are some of the more popular counterfeit items when we consider cigarettes and alcohol in particular, which in itself is a very lucrative trade side, and it's something that we've been taking note of. However, it's been flourishing, and I should say it's been flourishing more than ever, perhaps due to the pandemic, as customers are always looking at how they can stretch a dollar, because these illicit goods are something that go under the radar at a cheaper cost because they're essentially contraband. It's been flagged by the Ministry of Trade, it's been flagged by the manufacturing and distribution side, and it's something that from our side we try to get retailers to ensure that a good product to the end user, we're not necessarily against cheaper products, but to know that I'm selling you something that doesn't have components in its composition that could potentially harm you.
I understand. Now, Mr. Rajiv, I do want to thank you for joining us via Zoom link, so Trinidad and Tobago could hear what the Supermarket Association is in planning in the way going forward with this cyber attack issue that happened to us recently. I do want to thank you so much for taking the time and joining with us, even to share about the illicit trade that is taking place within the supermarket industry, which we would say more or less counterfeit goods is coming on the market.
Yes, certainly. Thank you once again, and thank you, Trinidad and Tobago. Have a good night.
Thank you. So viewers, as we move on with our program tonight, you know, I do want to thank Rajiv for joining, because I will tell you something. Every time we reached out to Rajiv to get an interview, if it's one thing Rajiv to say, Saeed, call me at this time and I will go live with you. You know, it's one thing that he would always say. We want to educate the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to know what is taking place in the food, the supermarket, the beverage industry in Trinidad and Tobago. And that I want to thank him for. So as we move along tonight, viewers, the Minister of Health, Terrence Singh, has confirmed that over 200 COVID-19 cases have been recorded among students and teaching staff over a 4-day period. Singh stated that between April 25th and 29th, out of 243 schools across Trinidad and Tobago, there were 288 positive cases among students and teaching staff. Listen to this.
For the week 25th to 29th of April, out of 243 schools reporting, between staff and students, there are 288 positive cases. On those tests and other tests done, 23 were negative. So those are the cases in the school system, 288 positive. That's between both teachers and students, right, of 243 schools reporting. So as soon as we get more information again from the Ministry of Education, we will bring it to you.
Hey, but earlier notice, Terrence Malaki Kuman has center part now. Earlier notice that. But nevertheless, remember we have been hammering this. Children are getting COVID-19. Teachers are not attending classes. Who do we blame? You see, I will tell you something. They rushed and they opened the education industry without thinking proper. Without proper protocol, without proper thinking, without proper sanitization, they just ran into it. He added that he was concerned by COVID-19 infections at schools, but noted that at this stage of the pandemic, I thought it was an endemic, but it's a pandemic, the option of shutting down was not recommended. Hear this.
We are concerned about COVID in any environment, including schools. We are concerned about COVID in the workplace, in the home, in our hospitals, and in schools. So yes, we are concerned about it. But at this stage of the pandemic, the option of shutting down and keeping people away from work or away from school is not one that is recommended, because the long-term socio-economic effects are going to be felt for years to come.
It was recommended by the government. It was recommended to stay home for 3 months. It was recommended to stay between 14 to 21 days in quarantine. It was recommended. Now it is recommended at 7 days and you're good to go. It was recommended to stay 6 feet apart by the health ministry. But according to the education minister, 3 feet apart and they're good to go. I am just bringing the facts that they state, and I am just reminding you, the citizens, now is a different tone and a different twist. They're thinking about now it's not safe to shut down. Hello, hear that? Hello, hear that? When all you tell all yourself, side is be bashing this minister. I am not bashing the minister. I am just reminding him of what he said in the past. That is what I am doing. And I'm also reminding you of what he said. The minister also noted that he did not have a breakdown of primary schools, but could acquire it from the Ministry of Education.
I don't have detailed breakdowns. I didn't get that from the Ministry of Education to primary schools or whatever. I just have the gross numbers.
Meanwhile, Education Minister Dr. Nian Gasby-Doley said any decision to reintroduce or restrictions on business and schools would be done after holistic consideration of the effects. Let me tell you something. They rushed to open the schools in Trinidad and Tobago. They rushed. 1 minute, it's an endemic. The next minute, it's a pandemic. Paula, good night.
Hello, good night.
Go right ahead, you're live on Real Talk.
I would like to find out the protocols of schools who is under the suspicions of COVID.
The protocols?
Yes.
Well, they say you must sanitize before you enter the school. You must not have runny nose. You must not have flu. You must not have a cough. You must not have the cold. If you realize your child have these symptoms, do not send them to school. There is no 6 feet. There is no 3 feet. You're mixing and mingling like if it's a taste of carnival. To me, there is no protocol in school, to be honest with you. Because if we could have a taste of carnival, where everybody whining and jamming, and then they say it is okay to do that in February month, Carnival in February. It is okay to do that in February month, but December 2021, they are telling us, hey, don't encourage nobody to come to your house for COVID. You go spread it. Which they give the police authority to enter into your property in the month of December to break up a little line with you and the family because it's Christmas. But we had hundreds and thousands of people jamming in February. And then I must stand here now and say, hooray for the Alsing. And that is the same man who shed a tear. He pulled aside and wept on the promenade. Here wept in again, here pulled aside in again, and he done with that. He concerned now about COVID-19. But you know what I do? From Point Fortin Hospital to a COVID hospital, back to a hospital. Sometimes I don't know why this man is come on TV. I don't know why this man is keep briefings. Let somebody else go. Call her good night.
Good night.
Go right ahead, you're live.
There's a Mahasaba school on Inapari, Mayara Road that is under the suspicions of COVID. And when we were trying to contact the school or the teacher to find out if it's true, we are not getting any response. The principal is not in school. The teacher is not in school. We've been calling since Tuesday to find out what's going on.
What is the name of the school?
If it's safe for my child to come to school.
What is the name of the school? You could go ahead and mention the name of the school.
I'm not comfortable mentioning the name of the school.
How about we know?
Palmyra Hindu School.
Palmyra Hindu School.
Yes.
Not a problem. Thank you, my dear. You see, I will tell you something. When you call in to voice your concern, there's nothing wrong with calling the name of the schools, you know. Because I will tell you something. When you highlight the school, you're letting the government know, the Ministry of Health, you're letting the Ministry of Education know that, hey, you see, in this school, we are not seeing the teachers, we are not seeing the principals, we're sending our children and we want to know what is taking place. So we ain't bad talking the school. So the Ministry of Education cannot come and say, well, Saeed, you know, you had a call in and say about the Palmaria Hindu school, but it's not this, is that. We're not bad talking the school. A parent calling to complain that, hey, we're not seeing the teachers, we're not seeing the schools. The Ministry of Education not there. The Minister of Health not there, and they're trying to get onto the schools, but nobody seems to be answering the phone. I wonder if they pay their bills. Switching gears. Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association Vice President Marlon Seals has stated that the figure for the number of cases recorded in 1 week is alarming. Tutor major concerned is that the time it would take for district nurse to react. The distance nurses is charged with managing the communication of COVID-19 data in the school system. Seals stated that the ministry must now move to quickly establish a system to expedite COVID-19 testing for students and teachers so schools can act to reduce the infectious rate. And I don't blame him for making that statement. And I've been saying this. They need to act quickly. They need to put something in place in order to keep COVID-19 down at these schools. Down. Remember, they made some ridiculous decisions that, you know what? Party. How hard was it for us to wait for 1 year to pass again? We missed Carnival last year. We could miss it this year for the safety of COVID. But no, wine and jam is more important to the health ministry. It is more important that we wine and jam for Carnival. How much million they spent and how much they achieved. Caller, good night.
Hello.
Go right ahead, you're live.
Tunapuna Hindu School, Mr. Saeed. There's COVID there too.
They are COVID. You are aware of COVID children into the schools?
Yes, I am. I have a grandson in Standard 3.
Has he been showing any symptoms?
Not him.
Okay. Now, the teacher's attendance to the school and together with the student attendance, how is it? She there? She gone?
No.
Listen this now. Seals, he also added that tutor is concerned about reports of students' unwillingness to adhere to COVID-19 guidelines, which he believes had a major part to play in a developing wave among student population. Now I'm going to tell you something. It have one way to fix this problem. It have one way. There are teachers responsible for classes. They are responsible for the student in their classroom. If perchance that one child or two child or students are not adhering to the rules and regulations, all you have to do as a teacher, report it to the principal, contact the parents, and we're fixing the problem. And we're fixing the problem. You see, I will tell you something. You're taking everything in steps. In steps. You're not just running your mouth. Oh, the children are listening and them I want to are there. Let me tell you something. You're in school. They are there to educate. They are there to learn. Johnny, you're not listening? Not a problem. Let's go to the principal office. Principal will then contact the parents and you'll fix the problem. You're letting the parents know, well, here's what. Madam, sir, we have rules and regulations concerning the COVID-19 in schools, and we find it fit to notify you to pay a visit to us because your child is not adhering to the rules and regulations of the schools. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have decided to enforce restrictions, but your child find it fit to break it. So I find it fit to notify you to bring your child into the school and to bring you in my office to let you know we are suspending your child for the next 2 days. You know what I'm going to say now? Well, the principal do have the authority to suspend my child. Send them home! How hard is that? How hard is that? The Ministry of Health investigating, the Ministry of Education investigating, and all we're hearing is, we are investigating. We are investigating. We are investigating. You know how long I hear this word they call investigating? Caller, good night.
Good night.
Go right ahead, you're live on Real Talk.
Okay. What I want to find out is when children come home with COVID and the parents have to go to work, what is the position with that child being home?
Well, if the parents come home with COVID, if the student come home with COVID, the child, technically the parents will get it also because a common flu would flow from the child to the parents, correct?
Yeah.
So which means if the parents get COVID-19, everybody in the household got COVID-19, correct?
No, everybody don't get it, you know. Everybody doesn't get it.
Well, if the parents have to work, remember there's no supervision for the child.
Well, that is the next thing.
That's it. Thank you, my dear. Let me tell you something. We have simple ways of fixing issues in our country. But you know what? And I will always say this. There are people who goes to work and collect a salary by sitting on a chair. You know why I just knock at the Ministry of Health and the Minister so seriously and so much? We have the Minister of Health. We have the advisory. We have the managers. We have the supervisors. We have the workers. And we have something they call penalty. We have something they call penalty. We have something they call suspension of job or suspension of work for 7 days or 3 days or 14 days. Caller, good night.
Hi, good night.
Go right ahead, you're live.
I was calling in concern of the school. There's a school, Point Fortin East Secondary School. There's no fan in the classroom. The children is very sweaty. The school started flooding out. There's a lot of very destructive things in the classroom.
Okay. Which school is it again? Which school is it again?
And all I'm saying, and the COVID situation is not handled properly.
This is the Point Fortin
East Secondary School.
Thank you so much for highlighting it, my dear. Now that is what we're looking for. that will go straight to the Ministry of Education. It will go straight to the Ministry of Health. And you know what? They're going to move quick. You see, when you call in and you make a concern report like that, a citizen report just like that, let me tell you something. They would move like that. Because they don't want Saeed to be trampling all over that for 2 days or 3 days straight. They can say how fast they go run down and fix that school. Take what I'm telling you. So here it is. Switching gears. We have a call. Caller, good night.
Hello, good night.
Go right ahead. You're live on Real Talk.
Right, Saheed, I have to laugh, at the caller that spoke with regards to, if the child is home, then what would be the situation? That is not the school problem. That is not the ministry problem. That is your problem.
Correct.
Your child is ill. It is your responsibility to make the time to take that child either to the private hospital, health center, or the hospital itself, right, and get the child sorted out.
Correct.
People use these schools as if the teachers are supposed to. The teachers are human beings as well. Saheed, when I look at the situation with regards to COVID, what is the ministry? I would have to agree with you. I blame the ministry for a lot of misinformation and scare tactic strategies that they have been using on the population of Trinidad and Tobago.
Correct.
Now, if you look at the U.S., in the U.S., they test the waterways to see exactly what is circulating in each state. So we know if it's either Omicron, the subvariant, if it's still Delta, if it's still the original COVID, whatever it may be, we have an indication of whatever virus other than that is circulating in each of the states. What testing is done in Trinidad and Tobago? They're coming like that, the ministry, right? And as you rightly say, investigate. What is the outcome? What exactly is it? If people are still dying, is it still the original COVID that is still here, together with the Delta, together with the other variant? What exactly it is? You're taking a chance with people's lives, with the children's lives, and you're sending them out there, and the population don't know exactly what it is. And then on top of it, you're giving a lot of contrary messages. There's a lot of accurate information that citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean are getting from outside, right? Because these people are doing their investigations, and the outcome is being printed, exposed to all of these things. And in Trinidad and Tobago, like a little black hole, never know nothing, they're still coming with a lot of outdated information. So we have all of this thing that is going on in the States. It is the Omicron B12, I believe, variant that is circulating. It's a common cold. But in Trinidad and Tobago, even when we have influenza and the common cold, the delinquent parents will still bring their children to school, right? And it will infect the entire class. I have a private school. And I'm telling you that even before COVID, we have a health policy, right? Even if it's a runny nose or a slight fever, listen, we are not a child care center, right? The child is ill, take that child to the doctor's office, get that child sorted out, because that child is going to get everybody else sick, even prior to COVID, right? There are too many delinquent parents out there, and they need to get their act together. Everybody has a responsibility for this country to move on. The economy is being affected because of delinquency. The government delinquent, the people delinquent, everybody just done lawless. Right? We need to get our act together. We have adults in this country, set examples for those children. We have the government, set example for the people. That's all I'm saying, Saheed. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing it, my friend. I could not have said it better. That's why I tell you, feel free to call in. Feel free to call in and share your concerns. Once you call in and you share your concern and it hit the ministry, I go rub in my 2 cents in it, and we go get things done. So here it is now. Over 15 of 20 applicants were present at the Ministry of Public Utilities, St. Clair, Port of Spain, to collect approvals letter for their homes to be supplied with electricity. There are 15 out of 20 applicants. Public Utilities Minister Marvin Gonzalez stated that $37.8 million have been spent to provide citizens with water and electricity since 2015. Listen to this.
Despite in the midst of a pandemic, that the Ministry of Public Utilities over the last 5 years, and despite a pandemic, can spend $37.8 million to serve the underserved and those that are not served in providing water and providing electricity and other utility assistance. And
he also stated that the bill rebate program, which gives a 35% cut to residential customers with bills under 300, applied to 220,000 people at a cost of $40 million. Gonzalez stated, this year the rebates are expected to increase to $60 million. Minister of Communication Simone de Nobrega also added that in the last 5 years, $19 million was spent to give 16,000 families access to electricity and water. And of those, 1,000 homes were supplied with power. He urged citizens to voice any problem they have to the area representative so the ministry can provide what is necessary. Caller, good night.
Hello, good night, sir.
My friend.
Yeah, I know you might not like me tonight, you know why?
Talk to me.
Because I don't care about people here in Trinidad and Tobago. You know why?
Tell me.
Look who we have as the health minister. Our old Dumbo.
Oh God, use a correct word now.
Nothing about health. The man knows nothing. Just think about it. Where you expect who is going to test what and test this and test that? What he know about?
Thank you, my friend.
I sick of these people here.
Thank you, my friend. So hear this, Hear this, Marvin Gonzalez stated that the bill rebate program gives a 35% cut to residential customers with bill under 300. The rebate came up to a cost of $40 million. Residential customers. A lot of people would go after me for saying this, $40 million could have been allocated to the regional corporation throughout Trinidad and Tobago to buy materials to patch the road. People will blame Saieed for this statement I'm also going to make. If you burn in 20 kilowatts of power for the month and you have to pay a bill of $50 for that month, do you expect the government to give you a rebate on that which you have burnt? Caller, good night.
Hello, good night.
Go right ahead.
I want to give these parents and them a little advice. I would like them to pray for their children. No matter what religion you are, you have to pray for your children and guide them and protect them. You know, but I do it as they alone and my husband. I pray every day for the nation to guide them and protect them. And it works. It works because before I leave home, I just talk to him and I just ask him for his guidance and his protection.
I understand that. Thank you.
Fine.
Thank you, moms. Prayer does work. So here is, viewers. I burn in $50 in current for the month. I burn it. My household burning it. I have 3 fridge, Upstairs, downstairs have one, and in my master bedroom have one. I have about 5 air condition, 3 in the bedroom, a 3-bedroom house, 3 in the bedroom, 1 in the living room. I might have one downstairs, I might have one in a bedroom downstairs. I have a water pump. I had the TV playing whole day. I had the radio playing whole day. Now I burn $50 in current for the month now, and I expecting the government now to give me a rebate of 33% on that $50. $40 million are being wasted on rebate back to customers. Why am I saying that? Why am I saying that? The government is not burning the current. TM Tech is not burning the current. I, Saeed, am burning the current. If I want my bill to reduce, I will have to have 1 fridge. If I want my bill to reduce, I will put 1 5-ton. 1 5-ton in the 3-bedroom upstairs and downstairs, run vents, and let that 5-ton service it. The right thing is the right thing. $40 million is being wasted going back to customers, and I must stand here and lash the government for the wrong thing they're doing, but I must let it pass by. $40 million could have gone to the corporation in Trinidad and Tobago to fix the road. Marvin Gonzalez, think about that. Think about that. Workers at the MIC Institute of Technology and University of Trinidad and Tobago, that is the UTT, had received their salaries for April on time. Congratulations. Education Minister Nian Gasby Dolly gave this response to a question by Couva South MP Rudinath Indarsing. Indarsing asked about the issue of a memo by MIC's CEO and if it was linked to when the workers were paid, in which Gasby Dolly replied that the memo was not issued for her office but issued by MIC. Listen to this.
Madam Speaker, the memo was not issued from my office, it was issued from the MIC. Therefore, I cannot explain why that memo would have been issued, because the staff have been paid.
Now, Gasby Dolly added that as Minister of Education, she is entitled to ensure that the checks be disbursed, and reiterated that UTT staff were paid on April 25th and 26th.
Madam Speaker, the member keeps asking me to explain the actions of persons other than myself. What I, as the Minister of Education, as the Minister of Education, the line minister, am entitled to do is to ensure that the check is disbursed and that the persons are paid. And the information from the Ministry of Education is that the check was disbursed and persons were paid on the 25th and 26th of April 2022.
I like how she said that. She stood firm and said, my ministry is to ensure that the staff got paid. She stand like a lion. Here it is. Indarsing was unimpressed by her answer and the question that the minister to inform the House if the government was on the verge of bankruptcy, in which Anisette George replied that the question was out of order.
Could the minister inform this House, based on the cash flow situation at the University of Trinidad and Tobago, is the government on the verge of bankruptcy?
Member.
So viewers, I wouldn't say anything until Fire Friday. We are out of time for tonight, but nevertheless, viewers, I thank you for joining in. Remember, it's Thursday the 5th of May. We'll have a Fire Friday show on Friday the 6th of May 2022. Let me tell you something. This is the only show on television where you're getting the raw facts and the real truth. I ain't buttering it up with no jam and no peanut butter and no sugar loaf. No, I ain't doing that. We highlight an issue, we deal with it, and we move on. We look for solutions, as we always do. As we always do. We have become the #1 current affairs program in Trinidad and Tobago dealing with the issues. Remember, viewers? We're also live on Facebook, and there's a repeat of this program the next day. So if you miss it tonight, you can catch it between 11:30 and 12:30 the next day. So until we meet again, viewers, be safe, and thank you for your viewing. I am Saeed. This is Real Talk with Saieed Ali.